Here we go again with another day of intensity out at 49ers training camp. And just when you think things might settle, the script flips. The action in Santa Clara has been non-stop. And today was no exception, especially with what went down in the secondary. Let's start with the big development that had everyone talking, cornerback Renardo Green, who's been making noise in camp with his sticky coverage and aggressive play. Unfortunately pulled up with a hamstring injury during what had been his most dominant session so far. It was the kind of practice where he looked every bit the part of an emerging outside corner, breaking up multiple passes and blanketing receivers with confidence. That kind of day usually puts a player squarely in the spotlight, but instead, he limped off into the shadows for now, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. The expectation is that Green will be sidelined for a couple of weeks, with a return target set around mid-August, specifically around the 14th. When the Niners will link up for joint practices against the Raiders, the timing's unfortunate, especially considering how thin the cornerback depth already looked heading into camp. It was no secret the team had concerns about the group, and losing Green, even temporarily, only amplified that anxiety. So much so that right after practice, the front office didn't wait. They brought in a handful of defensive backs for workouts, and within hours, a move was made. Veteran corner Eli Apple is now a San Francisco 49er. Yeah, you heard that right. Eli Apple, a former top 10 pick, has found yet another home, and say what you want about his past, but the guy keeps getting work for a reason. Apple's career has been one of the more fascinating roller coasters in recent memory. Drafted 10th overall back in 2016 by the New York Giants, the expectations were massive. New York believed they were getting a shutdown guy to anchor the secondary for the next decade, and in flashes, he showed some of that promise as a rookie. He started most of the season, made plays both at the line of scrimmage and downfield, and appeared poised to grow into a cornerstone, but it didn't take long for things to unravel. Confidence issues, media scrutiny, and friction inside the locker room, it all snowballed fast. By his second season, Apple's name was making more noise off the field than on it, and not necessarily in a good way. His mother, always outspoken on social media, added to the drama, and eventually, the Giants moved on midway through the 2018 season. They traded him to the Saints for a mid-round pick. That transition gave him a fresh start, and honestly, his play in New Orleans wasn't bad at all. He started every game down the stretch, logged solid production, and showed that he still had something to offer. But the theme of Apple's career has been short-term stops and constant transitions. After New Orleans, it was a year with the Panthers, then 2 seasons with the Bengals, a stint in Miami, and last year, a brief showing with the Chargers. So now, San Francisco becomes stop number 7, and while some fans may roll their eyes at another Apple signing, the reality is that the Niners need experience in that room. They've got talent, no doubt, but they're razor thin when it comes to proven production at the NFL level. And love him or hate him, Apple has played in over 100 games, starting more than 80. That's not something you can just dismiss. Physically, Apple still checks a lot of boxes at 6'1", over 100 pounds. He brings ideal size for an outside corner. Back at the NFL Combine, he ran a blistering 4 for flat in the 40, the fastest among all defensive backs that year. He also threw up 13 reps on the bench, a solid number that speaks to his strength, what scouts like most back. Then was his ability to stay in phase with receivers, read plays quickly, and come downhill with urgency when needed. He built that skill set during his time at Ohio State, where he was one of the top corners in the country and entered the league as a top-tier prospect, but consistency has always been the issue. For every game where Apple locks down his side of the field, there's another where he gets beat on a deep ball or draws unnecessary penalties. His tape is the definition of a mixed bag, moments of brilliance, followed by lapses in judgment or technique. Take his 2020 season with Cincinnati, for example. He played in 15 games, started all of them, and ended the year with 8 pass breakups, a respectable number that ranked inside the top 20 league-wide. But his Pro Football Focus grades told a more sobering story. An overall score just under 53, with similar marks in both coverage and tackling. That said, when you look at what the Niners are trying to build defensively, especially in the secondary, a guy like Apple could end up being a valuable piece. Not necessarily because he's elite, but because he's battle-tested. You can't underestimate how important that is when you're integrating younger talent or shuffling your DB rotation due to injuries. The other factor here is versatility. Apple has played mostly on the outside, which is where San Francisco needs help the most. Their current cornerback Diamador Lenoir, can play both inside and out, but he's arguably most dominant in the slot. So if Apple can hold his own on the boundary, it could free Lenoir up to shift around based on matchups, something this defensive scheme thrives on. Meanwhile, the young guys are still making noise. UDFA letters and rookies are hungry to prove they belong, and one name that keeps coming up is Jacob Robinson. Every time the team hits the field, it seems like Robinson is making a play. Today it was a breakup in the end zone against first-rounder Ricky Pearsall, and that's just the latest in a growing list of highlights. Signed after a solid college career split between Utah State and BYU, Robinson has the ball skills and instincts you want from a developmental corner. What he lacks in experience, he's been making up for with production in camp, and now, with the pads coming on soon, we'll get a much clearer picture of whether he can continue this upward trajectory. Another intriguing piece in the mix is rookie Upton Stout, a third-round selection out of Western Kentucky. He's smaller than your typical outside corner, but what he lacks in size he makes up for with grit and athleticism. Stout brings elite quickness, solid instincts, and an aggressive edge to his game, traits that translate well in the slot. But with Green out and the outside rolls up for grabs, don't be surprised if the coaching staff tests his limits on the perimeter. If he holds up, that only increases his value moving forward. Trey Brown is another guy worth watching, a former mid-round pick by Seattle. He came into the league as a player with raw athletic traits and has mostly worked on the outside. San Francisco brought him in this offseason, and he's been moving between roles, getting reps both inside and outside. That kind of versatility could earn him a roster spot, especially if he continues to develop in camp. And then there's Dallas Flowers. He's been getting a bump in snaps lately due to Green's absence. And while he had a rough outing the other day, giving up that deep ball to Isaiah Nair on a long toss from Mac Jones, he's still firmly in the mix. That play, by the way, has been one of the most viral highlights from Niners camp so far. Nair absolutely torched not just Flowers, but to other defenders on that rep. It's the kind of moment that reminds everyone how quickly things can change in these evaluation windows. So with all of that going on, the addition of Eli Apple feels like a strategic insurance policy. He may not be the flashiest name, and he certainly brings some baggage, both from an off-field narrative perspective and from an inconsistent on-field resume, but he's still a guy who's seen a lot of football. Whether he makes the final 53 remains to be seen, but the opportunity is clearly there. The Niners are evaluating everything right now, and with more joint practices and preseason games on the horizon, these next few weeks will be critical in shaping the roster. There's also been some talk around whether San Francisco should have gone in a different direction entirely. A name that keeps coming up is A.J. Bowie, more experienced, maybe a better overall fit in some eyes, or even someone like Jason Verrett, who obviously has a history with this organization, though injuries have derailed his last few seasons. But the Niners went with Apple, perhaps because of availability, perhaps because of familiarity, or maybe just because they see enough value in giving him a look with pads on. Either way, the message is clear. The cornerback room is wide open, and nothing is set in stone yet. That's what training camp is for. It's not just about stars sharpening their tools. It's about fringe players pushing their way into the conversation, veterans proving they still have gas left, and coaches figuring out exactly who they can trust when the games start to count. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to For Niners Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the NFL as Baker Mayfield's name surfaces in connection with the San Francisco 49ers, sparking a flurry of speculation among fans and analysts alike. The rumor mill has been abuzz with the possibility that Mayfield, once the first overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, has finally put pen to paper and secured a contract with the 49ers. While no official announcement has been made yet, sources close to the situation suggest that Mayfield's arrival in San Francisco could be imminent. Sending waves through the league's quarterback landscape, Mayfield's career has seen its share of ups and downs since his explosive start with the Cleveland Browns. And this potential move to the 49ers could represent a pivotal chapter. San Francisco, a team known for its dynamic offense and innovative coaching staff, might offer Mayfield the perfect platform to revive his career. The 49ers have faced their own quarterback challenges in recent seasons, and adding a player of Mayfield's caliber could be a strategic move to solidify their roster. Heading into the next season, if the deal is true, Mayfield's integration into the 49ers system would be closely watched. Known for his fiery competitive spirit and playmaking ability, he could bring a new energy to the team's offense, potentially pushing the current quarterback lineup and sparking a healthy competition for the starting role. This scenario alone would inject fresh intrigue into the 49ers camp, as fans eagerly anticipate how the coaching staff might leverage Mayfield's unique skill. Set alongside the team's established stars, the timing of this reported signing also raises questions about the 49ers' broader strategy. Are they preparing for a transition at quarterback, or simply bolstering depth to withstand the rigors of a demanding NFL season? The implications for the team's roster construction are significant, and insiders speculate that this move might signal a shift in the franchise's long-term plans, while all eyes await confirmation. The buzz surrounding Baker Mayfield and the San Francisco 49ers continues to grow louder. Could this be the start of a new era in the Bay Area? Fans and pundits alike will be watching closely as this story develops, eager to see whether this rumor materializes into one of the most talked about moves in recent NFL history. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.